Coming up on the next episode of Uncanceled Culture, we still have some comments that we're going to go over. Jason, go over some of those comments, some other comments that we had from previous episodes, and posted something on Facebook about ingesting certain types of drugs, which I have a story to tell. And I believe everybody else has a story to tell. And a special guest. All that coming up on the next episode of Uncanceled Culture. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Uncanceled Culture. I am Porky.
I am the Louie.
The Louie. And special guest. We have a special guest with us today. The one and only.
The myth?
The Sabrina.
The Sabrina.
She claims I stole the from her.
He sure
really?
did. I would love everybody to know that he sure did steal that from me.
Well, apparently you steal a lot of stuff from her.
I stole a lot of stuff from her.
A lot of stuff that you say is yours, but apparently it is not.
Apparently it's not, and we're going to hear about that. So,
Yes.
But we've been talking about getting her on the show, and here we are.
It's going to be tough now because Crankshaft's going to have it's going to have some problems.
He claims that he was only going to be taking them that one episode. I don't know.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
So we're going to go ahead and let's get started. We have some comments. Like I mentioned, we have definitely, we're still on the Jason Aldean thing. And dude, like I told Louie, I'm done. I'm really done. I argued and said what I had to say. So we're gonna go over some comments, and then I'm done.
Well, and it's really been beaten, right? Like beating the dead horse. But it's not just one sided. It's literally both sides.
Yeah.
You still have the people defending him, or defending that it was nothing, and then you have the people that, hey, they've really deep dived into some things, and they're like, man, this is really. I mean, to the point where they're like, wait a minute, he didn't grow up in a small town. He grew up in Macon, Georgia. That's not a small town.
100,000 people.
Yeah, and the people from around that area are the ones really coming after him.
Yeah.
I think you have people from around the nation and a lot of people from small towns that like to defend him, and then other people that just like his music. But you have people that are from the area where he's from, and they're like, he's not from a small town, guys. Like, don't let him fool you,
Yeah.
But you literally have both people, both sides, and I think I know I've sent videos left and right,
and we still did. To this past week, we were still doing it, stuff back and forth. But I think
it ran its course.
I think it got to like Thursday, and I finally told Louie, I'm like, dude, I'm toast.
We're gonna touch on this, and then we're gonna let it go.
Did he ever even respond? Did he ever say
just that once?
And what was it that he?
The comment that I read on the last one, where he just said that, hey, you're taking it too far. That's not what I meant. It's really about just taking care of your own, and whatever.
Well, then apparently he fixed something in the video.
Yeah,
he took something out of the video.
Then he removed something from the video.
Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, even at that, you had people coming about the video that, hey, a lot of those clips aren't even in the U.S.
Right.
They were from, they were from Ukraine, and they were from Canada
and Germany.
Yeah, you name it. So it's like, how are you going to be doing a video about U.S. and small towns, and then you're going to be using these clips? Like, it didn't make sense. So, but it is what it is.
I'm there. I'm done. I'm toast. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. So comments. Like I said, we do have some comments. In particular, did we have one about Aldean that you wanted to go over or not?
Yeah, I actually do have one from one of our listeners. We have Mike. The Vortex, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
That's his name, man. The Vortex.
See, I need a cool nickname like that. I go like Porky. What kind of nickname? Sabrina's gonna need a nickname too.
Yeah,
I am.
So, that's been your nickname, Porky, since
yes.
You know what I mean? So
I'm never gonna get rid of it.
We're not gonna get rid of it.
Fat or not, I'm never gonna get rid of it.
But yeah, man. So Mike, he reached out and he's like, man, I listened to the episode, and so this is what he had to say. He goes, the whole Jason Aldean thing is really subjective, but the fact that he has a history of speaking negative on sensitive subjects, and the fact that he chose, and he's emphasizing chose to sing those lyrics when he didn't write the song, along with making a video where people got lynched, makes you think that he is an undercover racist. He looks like he uses the N-word around the good old boys to be cool. And once you say something of that magnitude, you know what I mean? It just doesn't come off the same way. So you truly feel a certain way. I use logic and common sense. I was around people like that during my 12-year career in the Army. So I see right through the bullshit.
Yeah.
The next thing is I truly believe that all people should be respected until they are no longer respectable. It has nothing to do with gender or race or sexual orientation, ethnicity. It's all about having values and morals. You can't have either or. You have to have both. And I believe as adults, people should be able to talk out their differences. People make mistakes. No one's perfect. A lot of shit would be reconciled if people would just learn to communicate. But because of humanity and the way it is, it's far from that. And they'd rather honestly put their stuff on social media and post their feelings on social media, right? So, and I think he's not only commenting on the Jason Aldean thing, but he's also commenting on the previous episodes that we had about, the genders and the pronouns and stuff. Yeah. So, thanks for your feedback, Mike. I don't know. I think I kind of feel the same way, especially when we're talking about his history and the things that he said before, right? And the things that he's done and so forth. But I agree about the morals, right? I agree about not being able to have just one. You have to be able to have both. And I think that's the whole thing that when we were talking about teaching our children, and bringing them up and showing them, not only how to be respectful, but also, the how to push them and how to have a drive. And I think the thing and we were talking about consideration, how do we, do we teach our children? We need to start teaching them that. I think it's also the moral part. We have to start instilling in them the morals. And I think humanity or this generation, let's say this generation, has just lost that completely.
Yeah, my to piggyback off of that, my thing was, and I think that's part of the reason why I got tired of it, because it was just, just going on and on and on and on. And what I just came to the conclusion was, talk about, teaching our children. We teach our children how, the correct way, be compassionate, care about people. It doesn't matter who they are, what they are. You have compassion for people. And if other people don't feel that same way, too bad. You feel the way that you feel, you be strong about how you feel. And that's was the biggest thing for me, was like, I was just so tired of it. Like, I was just so tired of fighting with somebody that I didn't know, watching a video of somebody that I didn't know, showing their true colors or whatever you want to call it, their opinion. Let's call it that.
That's exactly what it is.
Let's call it their opinion. Because if I can have an opinion, they can have an opinion. That's fine. But I think that was the whole thing that I got tired of it. I was just, I feel the way I feel. I support who I want to support. If they don't feel that, I'm not gonna keep arguing about it. And that's why I got tired of it. And for another thing, it was fucking country, bro. I hate country. I hate country. I won't say hate, okay? Like Sabrina's over here.
She's a strong word.
Hate is a very strong
word.
No, hate is a very strong word. So I won't say that I hate country. If I had a choice to not listen to it, I
definitely not
listen to it.
Yeah.
So. And I agree with Mikey saying that it's I call him Mikey, not Vortex, but
I'm gonna call. And Mama call him Clay. I'm calling Vortex.
For you, those of you that don't know where that's from Coming to America.
Thank you. I believe it was before my time. I appreciate the reference.
Oh, she just aged herself. Oh my God, Louie.
She went in hard, bro. She went in hard on that.
I do believe I agree 100% that it's subjective. And I actually love country, which is also a strong word, but I really do love country. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate that they have to show their true colors of it's their art. how they express themselves and say who they are, and a lot of them are taught not to do that, just to stay relevant and to continue making your money, right? But I feel like in the country mainstream media, that's what sets them apart, is that they express themselves through their music, and they don't really care about the backlash that they get, and sometimes feed off of that. He shared pretty heavily, not so much in this song, which I feel like, I'm gonna be honest, I felt like he didn't say anything wrong in the words or the lyrics of it. I grew up in a small town for quite a bit, about 6-7 years. For those that are aware, Dunlay is between Castroville and Hondo, and it's a small, probably now population is like 10,000.
Sorry, repeat that?
Yeah, Dunlay. So, and it very much was like that. Nobody messed with anybody. You couldn't get by with doing just odd things like that, like racism. As crazy as it would be, didn't really exist there, because there were just as many Mexicans as there were whites, as there were, blacks. So and if there was anybody acting crazy, everybody had each other's backs. At that point, it didn't matter what your background was. It was, you're a part of our neighborhood. We're gonna have your back.
Yep.
But it totally does come down to subjectiveness. I feel. I love country music. Recently, that's what I was getting to. I'm sorry. We had a friend that we were supposed to go to a concert with. I believe it was Aaron Watson.
It was Aaron Lewis.
And we love him. And I loved him before he came into country. And then we hear that he had a very strong... He came out off the bat opening up his concert with his views on the LGBTQ community. And we were like... And she took our friends who are two men that are
part of
practically married at this point. They've been together for years and have a family together. And it was for their birthday. And they were totally torn up. And I'm like, keep that at home. You don't need to bring that here. And the crowd went silent. He was expecting for them to have a nice response, and he did not get that.
He didn't get what he was expecting.
What city was that in?
It was here.
Here in San Antonio?
It was at Floors there in Helotes.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay,
he literally came off on a drunk rant.
Well, he was in Stained.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the lead singer
and
of
he's
Stained.
been known to be an asshole forever, as well as Jason Aldean. And I love both of their music, but now I'm just like, I love your music. I don't love you as a person.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Again, it's subjective. Like, that's my thought on that.
He's come out. I mean, he's been like that for a while, and ever since he kind of got out of Stained, and then he changed his genre brand, and he went into country, and then it was all of a sudden it was like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah, he's become very vocal. Yeah,
and I think that's why he honestly went to that genre, because that's the vibe there. You say what's on your mind. You take no shit from anybody, and it's the rough and tough type of atmosphere. And so I think he was expecting people to rally behind him and his song, and like, yeah, we feel that, which I think he did get quite a bit, but I think it was just the choice in video that kind of set that.
Yeah, he tried it in a small town.
Yeah, it did not work. Did not work.
Right.
I mean, he literally went on, like, Aaron Lewis went on a rant.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it was a drunken rant, because the only concerts that I know that go over there, the damn artists are always drunk, right, when they get started.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to one and literally expecting to see a badass concert, and these guys were literally drunk off of whiskey and still drinking whiskey while they're singing. It was bad, yeah. Oh, wow. So this guy just went on a drunken rant, and our friends are there, and I think our friend that took them felt worse than they did. They were like,
yeah, I'm sure.
I get it, we get it. Like, he's an idiot, he's an asshole. But she was just so torn, because she was like, man, I brought them to this, and then for this to happen, it was just crazy. So
yeah. Well, there you go. Are we done with that, or are we continue?
You didn't have a comment, right?
No,
Did you
I
have a comment?
I don't.
Okay, and there were no other comments that we had on the Jason.
We have other comments.
We have other comments.
So we have one individual that has been messaging us with a lot of opinions, which we tried to follow up. I didn't get a call back from that guy.
Yeah. And I couldn't find him on the other platform.
But
we have our investigator. I think she'll be able to find him. I bet you.
Well, there you go. That's your new nickname.
The investigator, detective,
private eye. No, she's private eye.
She's private eye.
So actually, this person had a rebuttal, and this was back with the gender pronoun. She says, our country has a history of eliminating what some misunderstand, find strange, and or non-conforming. LGBTQIA+ are a community of people that exist and deserve to be acknowledged and respected. Consider all the Hispanic and Latinos who were punished or discouraged from speaking Spanish. Now there's a whole generation of non-Spanish speaking Latinos because of this mindset. What's being force-fed is the idea that this community is a threat. Pinche gender reveals are a threat with their unnecessary pyrotechnics. so this person finished off with a little funny.
With a padum.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and that all this that we're talking about gets, it's all in one thing from the Jason, to the gender to the because it unfortunately it gets lumped into
sensitivity.
Yes.
And pushing on. And you're right. I think people feel that Jason Aldean was pushing his views, right? Mm-hmm. You have the people that took it a certain way, and now you have people saying, well, they're pushing their views on how they viewed it, right? And then you have, of course, the topic that we talked about, the genders and the LGBTQ. You have people that are always saying, well, they're forcing their views. And then you have people saying, hey, well, there's other religions and other organizations that are pushing their views on them. So it's always going to be, and I think we talked about it. If we can talk about it and be mature about it and have a debate about it, hey, you can share your views and you can share what you feel, and it can still be okay.
Right.
We can still move on from it. Right. It doesn't have to be a fight, and it doesn't have to be a battle. There doesn't have to be division. Unfortunately,
that's what it turns into.
That's what it turns into. In this day and age, with everything, everyone is sensitive. Not one side or the other. Everyone is sensitive because everybody takes offense to something, and then they have to. And with social media, I think that's where I honestly feel that's where we started losing the generation. Social media, that is your platform to be able to share how you feel. However, you can't have the discussion one-on-one. I can't sit in front of you and tell you how I feel, but yet I'm going to write a long post or I'm going to send something because that's the way you express your way right now, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, I mean, isn't that cyberbullying? Isn't that, and we have people that suffer from that, right? And there's things that come from it. There's consequences that come from it. There's things that have happened with youth, especially youth that feel cyberbullied, and things are going on. It's hard because you want to say, turn the damn thing off, take it away from them.
Yeah.
But again, this is what their generation is, and honestly,
I think it's what's encouraged. I think it's what people are calling like social media like gangsters. Like they are so opinionated and strong-worded behind the screen because you're not in front of the actual person who would take offense, right?
Right.
And so it really took away the social aspect of people sharing their feelings and not effing around and finding out in person that you can't just say things off the fly like that. And I think it really created a generation of people to be bold artificially, because in person, if they are still speaking on it, I feel like at that point they're just really loud and angry and yelling. And it took away from people being able to really share and say, hey, I have an opinion, you have an opinion. Okay, cool. We agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. And that's just it. And the respectfulness is out the window because it's non-existent on the keyboard. You're on the keyboard and you're just typing off the fly because there's no repercussion or consequence. But back in the day, I'm like in the middle of y'all's generation, right? When social media started taking off and before it was there, where you couldn't just say things like that in front of people because your parents taught you and people taught you that if you did just enough, you got smacked for it.
Yep.
And so you can definitely tell the difference in the millennial. I feel like the millennial generation where and going forward, where they just say things that are sometimes almost always disrespectful and very opinionated without thinking about the consequences and how it's going to affect other people, especially when it comes to that community, the LGBTQ.
Well, shoot, I think you could even say even to our loved ones. Like there's times where I have to be honest, right? And I think we can all be honest, and we can all say we've done that before. I think we've hidden behind the keyboard a couple times.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we've done that a few times too. But I think this here is the example, and this is the wake-up call. Maybe this is the, hey, we need to realize, we need to wake up, right? Not the woke generation, but we need to wake up and remember you can have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
You can shake hands with somebody, even if you still don't agree with their views. You can shake hands with somebody and literally just it gets squashed right there.
Yeah.
Because when it continues and the keyboard's flying, guess what? It's a back and forth, and it never stops. Just like we've seen on TikTok, just like we've seen on Facebook. This Jason Aldean thing has not stopped. We're done with it, but it hasn't stopped because people are just going to go back. Somebody's going to have a rebuttal to the rebuttal to the rebuttal.
Well, you know, something else that just came up, and actually I don't have any background of it because I've only heard about the TikTok, of course, where it's where I get my news.
Yep,
TikTok,
credible,
most reliable source.
Right. So the thing that I came out was a Tyler Childers.
I don't think
he had one song.
Yes,
that's but he's popular.
Yeah,
he's a country
popular.
guy.
Yeah,
but he has a more of an old bluesy old country sound. And apparently he came out with I don't think it's so much the song. I think it's so much of the video that he had, where there was apparently two guys that kissed. So now, okay, that's what I heard. Whether it has it or not, that's what I heard. So now you're seeing the reverse of the Jason Aldean thing, as far as, okay, now, you know, Jason had his views and he did his thing and all this, and now Tyler Childers is coming out and he's putting this out there and saying, hey, well, look at us, look at this and that. And now people that were on that side that were defending are now on the offensive, and they're, you know, oh, well, Tyler Childers, you're just gonna, pardon my language, Tyler Childers, you're gonna lose a lot of fans, buddy. That's what I heard on TikTok, and so now there's a reverse thing going on, because now this Tyler Childers is coming out and doing this, and so now we're seeing the opposite effect, and now that's gonna blow up.
Correct.
Now I'm not gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about it. But it's gonna happen.
But no, you're gonna be seeing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gonna come out. So we're gonna hear it. We're gonna see it. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's gonna keep going.
And the keyboard warriors are gonna go at it. So.
And that's another thing. Did you see? I don't remember the guy's name. It's another country guy. He came out in defense of Jason Aldean. And he got, you know, I come from the times where, you know, we would settle things and, you know, we'd go outside and punch it out and blah, blah, blah. You know, we didn't hide behind a keyboard and blah, blah, you know, this and that and that. So, I mean, there's, you know, you're going to see that on both sides, because you do have keyboard warriors on one side and you have keyboard warriors on another side. So it's going to keep going. It's never going to stop.
Correct.
I think I'm actually reading. I hadn't looked up, so I had to Google it.
Well, yeah. There you go.
She
didn't use Bing.
I'm a Googler. I'm not a Binger.
Yeah.
And I think it states it perfectly. Like, this is why I feel like we're such at each other's necks and with the situation, because the typical population that listens to country music is still very conservative. Right. And so
Southern type.
Maybe. So the wife of Mr. Childers, whatever, states that when the subject matter for the video took on significant meaning in its current climate, specifically because country music is a genre that's at a crossroads in terms of redefining its identity and deciding how inclusive it wants to be. And I totally agree. This is why everyone's up in arms about this, because up until now, country music has been very, like I said, it's very open about how it feels. It's typically about love. But the men, right? But the men, the men in this genre have always been given the freedom, and I say men not to be like feminists, but really on everybody can tell you, the men really typically have more of the say so when it's about how they really feel about certain subjects.
Dixie
and it's
chicks.
Always okay. All right, you get that one. It's always drinking beer and being a guy and shooting guns and, you know, and the rights and how it's the way God wanted it to be, and very strong about that.
Very strong.
Not getting into specifics, but you know how God intended it to be.
Very strong.
And now that the younger generation is coming out and saying, hey, like, inclusivity is possible, and you know, times are changing, and you really have to not be so much worldly, but just be okay with not being okay, that's their opinion and you have your own opinion, and you don't have to be at each other's throats about it. And so that's really what I feel that this came down to the root of. He did have a bunch of controversial, like, I watched the video just recently, like 2 days ago. Thanks, Josh. He forced me. he voluntold me to watch this video randomly. we were out, and he's like, watch this right now at 12 o'clock. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to do this right now. I want to enjoy my drink. So I see that he really was trying to pull at the heartstrings of people and bring to light, I feel like, a lot of things that were right now making people upset and creating controversy and creating a conversation. But it's more so than just that. It's really up in the arms, because how inclusive do we really want to be about what subjects? What are we really going to start allowing and accepting in our culture and country music and outside of country music? And when it's anything other than what's been taught to us all of these years, it's like, wait a minute. And everyone's looking at each other like, are we going to accept this? Are we not going to accept this?
Yep.
And honestly, it comes down to my opinion, and Louie kind of spoke on my behalf when the whole rebuttal came out. I had a lot to say. I didn't say it myself, but it really comes down to our place is really just to love. I don't think we were called to sit there and yell at people and point in their face and you're wrong and you shouldn't be doing this. And then if they are, they are. Again, it's not your place to say. It's just our place to love whoever they are, whatever they look like, wherever they're from, whatever their decision is, as wrong as they may sound and appear. Just to love them through it. We have a few friends that are very opinionated.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, get home safe. See you later. Pat you on your back and send you on your way.
Send you on your way, as Porky said. You know, and I just will say, just to piggyback on Sabrina, I think what are we going to accept? What are we going to be able to talk about? Well, I'll tell you right now, on Content Culture, we're going to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it, and we can discuss it, we can debate it, and then we can move on from it, and it doesn't have to be an ongoing sore subject.
Right.
We can agree, we can disagree, and we can agree to disagree.
Yeah. I mean, we just got to a point where, we talked about it more than enough, and then we move on.
Yep. So we're done, Jason Aldean.
We're ready to move on.
Go on. Talk to somebody in person and shake somebody's hand.
Yeah. Love. It's all about love, bitches.
All right, guys, we're back. It's crazy. We, in between segments, we literally have like 15 minutes of ongoing conversation, and it's so good.
Well, this one was like 10, but still.
Yeah, and we talked about it. I think we're gonna have to get to a point where we're gonna be recording.
We'll just leave it on.
Yeah, we'll just leave it on, and then maybe we'll do some like. Not bloopers, but like the outtakes. We'll do some outtakes. Yeah, we'll do that. We're gonna have to do that. But this segment, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about one of our posts. We posted it both on Facebook and on Instagram, and the post was, "We were all young and dumb at one point, and did things we know we shouldn't have. So tell us your stories of what happened to you after ingesting some sort of mind-altering drug, quote unquote." And if you want to stay anonymous, send your story to our DM, and we will not mention your name. And we had a comment. We had a few. Not all of them got into too much detail, but we did have one. In particular, yeah. So actually it wasn't Dro, it was Lo. So Lo sent hers, and she says, this is hers, quote, "I don't care. I'll be honest. Mom, if you're seeing this, just know I'm 42 now, and this was when I was 18 and pre-kids." She says, "I took acid in the form of a sugar cube."
Wow.
Half. It was half a cube. I drove to Austin with some coworkers. I don't really remember what we did in Austin, except visit some friends at UT. But when I came home, I had my friend at my apartment take the other half, so she can feel what I was feeling. And by the end of the night, we were seeing gnomes running around my bed, and we stayed under the covers until we could fall asleep, which was the next day. So I tell my kids now that it was the most dumbest thing I did, besides my baby daddy, and to never ever take anything from anyone, especially hippies.
She's blaming the hippies, bro?
Well, I want to say, and I can't confirm. I mean, I haven't confirmed, and I can't be completely 100% sure. But she did have a friend who basically was like a hippie. And it wasn't really her. It was her parents, right? But I'm wondering if that's where they got it from. Right. But yeah, she's going to blame the hippies. Yeah.
Well, it didn't stop her from accepting another one this weekend.
It sure did.
Damn.
Her and I both.
And Mom, if you're listening, we're already in our 40s, so...
let's just say it was a good trip.
It was a good trip. This one was actually a good trip.
It was fun.
The whole reason we brought that up, I something popped into my head like it normally does, and right away I texted Louie and I'm like, dude, I said I'm gonna post something on Facebook. I said because I got a story, and I want to hear. Obviously, I do want to hear what everybody else's stories were, but I was like, this is the whole reason why I posted it.
Yeah, and I wanted to hear it. So I was like, hell yeah, let's do this.
So maybe it's unbelievable, but this is my best recollection of what happened. So way back, I was working with a phone company, certain very big phone company, and there was a project that they had. Which brought people in from all over the United States, from Florida, from Indiana, from California. Everybody came in to work on this, big thing. So you meet people from all over now. I met somebody from El Paso and all that. So this particular guy was from El Paso, and it ends up being that we actually got a softball team together and we all played together on the team. So I got to know him real good. And it ends up that he was in a cover band in El Paso. So he played the bass and all that. And
you already know what happens with bands.
Yeah, well, that's strong shit. But anyway, so he goes. At that point I was still playing drums. I had kind of gotten out of my marriage, and I was still had a drum set. And we talked about it. And he's like, "Hey, why don't you come over and we'll jam out?" I'm like, "Okay, cool." So we go over. Roxanne had gone out with some friends, and I said, hey, well, I'm going to go over to this guy's house. We're going to jam out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I buy a 12-pack of Bud, show up to his house, put all the stuff together, we're jamming out, right? And, of course, after a while, he kind of was like, hey, bro, you want some? And I'm like, no, man, I'm good. No, seriously, I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I'm just drinking my beer or whatever. So we continue going on, and then so this other guy that we know that we worked with, he was from Detroit.
Oh, Motor City.
So he shows up, right, and then he sits down, and all of a sudden he takes his stuff out, and he's doing, rolling. Just call it that. And at that course, after I had already drank more than half the 12-pack of beer, it's Budweiser. I was getting a little Frischnecki, and I was like, so they asked me again. Hey, man, would you like to? I'm like, fuck it. Let's do it.
Take a courage hit.
Take it, do it. Now, so I'm going to show you the hit that I took, right? It was exactly this long. I kid you not. It was exactly this long. Ready? It was like. I'll do that again for reference. That was it. I swear to God, that's as much as I took.
You were breathing like the guy in, was it the one with Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor? The old gangster movie.
Oh shit! I can't remember.
Harlem Nights. When he's telling them breathe like this and the same. That's the hit you took.
That's about as big as it. I kid you not, dude. It was about as big as it was. So I take the hit and I'm like, and I'm walking back, to get behind the drums. So I just kind of like lean back on the wall. And within 20 or 30 seconds, remember how the old school TVs, like when you would turn them off, they would kind of like shrink down to a circle, like in the middle? Yep. Okay, well, that's what started happening. Oh, no. It was snowy. Yeah, it was, I heard shh in my ears. That's what I heard. Shh. And all of a sudden, my vision just went zzz, boop. And from this point on, they're telling me what happened because, I was out. Whatever this shit was, dude. Oh yeah, I was out. So the way they described it is I was leaning up against the wall and then I was done, right? But they said I looked like I had just gotten shot, and I was just sliding down the wall. Like it took me like 20 seconds to get down to the floor, and they were freaking out because they didn't know what happened, right? So, like I said, this is
they're like, do we drop and roll? What do we do?
Everyone's going with you.
And they're like, is it gonna be okay? So boom, I hit the floor, right? And like I said, this is them describing what happened. So I probably was, I don't know, unconscious, out, whatever you want to call it. They said it was about 2 minutes. I was still breathing. I was, I guess acknowledging them in some way. And then when I finally came to, right? So when I came to, one of them was on the right side, one was on the left side, and they were over me trying to, hey, bro, are you okay? And, they didn't know what to do. They said they were very close to calling an ambulance because they didn't know what was going on. Okay, so here's where it gets really good. So I see them, right? But I'm looking through them. And I'm seeing outer space.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm seeing stars, I'm seeing galaxies, I'm seeing
unicorns,
all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's like, hey, bro, come join. So I'm like, I'm literally seeing through them, and this is what I'm seeing, right? So you're not gonna believe this. It's weird. So there's these robots, and I'm looking at them. They're fucking Transformers.
Is this before Transformers?
Oh, this is way back. No, this is even before. This is why it's so weird. They were fucking Transformers, right? And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I hear this voice. I don't know if it was Optimus Prime. It was just a robotic voice. But I just hear, the fate of the universe depends on you. And I'm like, what
no pressure.
The fuck?
No pressure.
Like, the fate of the universe? I'm like, are you serious, bro? So I'm like, oh, okay. So I noticed that these fucking robots are in the shapes of numbers. I have to figure out a math problem to save the fucking universe.
And you weren't really great at math. So.
Exactly.
So we were all going to die.
That's the point of the story is that everybody was fucked. If I got this math problem wrong.
We're not.
And it was probably like a plus thing, and I would have gotten it wrong. So here's the other weird thing. So I'm trying to figure this math problem right? So... and every time I'm like, okay, well, that should be a 4 or whatever. They were transforming into the number. So this is what I heard. They were transforming.
Oh my gosh.
They were transforming after everything that I thought of. Every number that it would change, it would transform. It would transform.
Wow.
And finally, when I snapped, and then I had them in my vision, and they're like, bro, you okay? You okay? I'm like, yeah, man. I said, man, we're all gonna fucking die, bro. We're all gonna die. And they're like, man, what's wrong with you, man? Are you okay? Do we need to call, the ambulance or whatever? And I'm like, no. Let me try and figure it out. So there I am.
I'm almost positive that that's how all of like the conspiracy theory videos on TikTok are
probably
formed. They get high
in some shape or form. They're like, bro,
Optimus Prime just told me.
So I'm trying to figure this out, and it's like, if I figure out something wrong, like all these other robots start coming, and I'm like, fuck, that's not the right answer. And then I would do something right, and then they would go away, and then fucking and then like literally, I guess I did something right because they transformed, and then they just went poof, and they disappeared.
I'm almost positive you were laced.
I came to, like, completely, and they were freaking out. They were completely freaking out.
How long was it that you came to?
They said that they couldn't get a response from me for about 2 minutes.
Oh, damn! So it was fast.
So yeah,
but your vision or your dream, whatever, was long. But but it was literally within 2 minutes. It felt like
it's only like 2 minutes. And so, but they were freaking out. Like,
imagine if you would have really taken a hit,
dude. That's it, man. And so I've like spent the rest of the night just sitting on the couch. I mean, I was buzzing for one because I'd been drinking.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, dude, what the fuck was that shit? And it was like, well, it might have been synthetic. I don't know. I'm like, what the fuck do you not know?
That's definitely what it sounds like.
You just, here you go, bro. Just try it. And dude, I was now fucked up for the rest of the night, and I didn't even take my drums home. I told the dude, I'm like, man, I gotta go. Like, I'll come back and get them.
Yeah.
So I was driving home, and I started throwing up, and I was like, dude, it was just crazy,
panicking,
like,
and
I'm like, I got home and I took a shower and I got into bed like nothing happened, bro.
You know, man, I agree with her. I think there was I mean, obviously it was synthetic or it was laced, right? Where there was something in it.
Probably some crack or something in it too,
or PCP. Man. There was something. It could have been some of the acid that this one over here took. I'll tell you. You know, I was at a place one time. I was with some clients, and there was a competitor that was there. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
I didn't find out till later that he was a competitor. So I think he did it on purpose. But we're having a beer, and I'm like, dude, I need I wanted some. For whatever reason, I'm like, I need some beer salt. Like, I just need some beer salt. And I think it's because I might have been drinking something that I didn't really like, but I was like, I just want something, right?
Something.
Yeah. And he's like, here, man, I got some salt. And he pulls out, and it's like looks like a little sugar. You ever see when you get those salt shakers, like the big grains of salt that you have to grind them, right? It looked like that. And he's like, here, bro. And I was like, well, how am I gonna put this on my drink, right?
Right.
He's like, no, just get it, and then you just take it. You just take your beer, like you'll taste the salt. So I'm like, fuck, all right. Took it, and I'm like, yeah. You know, you can taste the salt. It's better, bro. It wasn't salt.
Oh my god.
It was literally ice.
What?
No.
Yeah, and I find that, and I'm like, that was actually pretty good. And I'm like, and he goes, yeah, man, you're gonna be feeling this for a little bit. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, bro, it wasn't salt. And I'm like, the hell are you talking about? He's like, no, man, it was ice. And I'm like, are you serious?
What the
like,
fuck,
you literally just split up something. Yeah, bro, it was not good. I mean, I was literally like wired, like just up. I didn't know what to do, and I'm like,
Porky,
yeah. I look like Porky Romano, bro. Yes, no, question, yes, no. Yeah, bro. And I literally was like, I need shots. I need something to
bring me down.
To kind of level it off, man. Yeah. And it was not good.
Wow. Dude.
I have a story that Louie often likes to steal to be his own.
As we talked about earlier,
yes,
that's Louie
one of the many
stories.
things.
Yeah.
I stole your heart.
You did.
Where's my rim shot? I wish I had a rim shot.
I know that. So we had I'm not one that, in my younger years, I never like partied. I never tried anything. I saw enough of it from my older siblings, so they'll never listen to this, so it's fine. I should air out the dirty laundry, but they partaked in enough for me to know I never ever want to look like them or Porky, how he did during his trip ever.
Wow.
So I didn't even think about it. Friends were trying stuff. You want to try it? No, I'm fine. But there was this one trip we took to Vegas. And it was
during one of those the 8 out of the 16
happens in Vegas.
Everything happens in Vegas.
And you figure because you're in Vegas,
why not? Right?
Do as the Vegans do.
Right. So
while in Rome,
I had, I guess, Vegas-itis or whatever, and I was like, why not? Right? And one of some of our little cousins who are out there and they do partake in these activities, we're like, hey, we're real cool, we do this all the time, we're just gonna go get a low dose of gummies. And I was like,
we're gonna go to the dispensary.
And at this point, CBD is a big thing in the pharmaceutical industry. Like it's now a form of like therapeutics, and it might help you take away headache. And I'm like, I could take a little bit of that, why not? So I'm like, get me just a low dose, like I just want to take away this headache and I want to have fun, so let's just try it.
Chill, relax, right?
Chill.
Take away the anxiety.
We emphasized at least 4 times, here's money, give me a small dose. They come back, and I don't know what a small dose, I've never gone into one of these places. They're like, yeah, they didn't have low dose, so we got this one, we take it all the time, it's 100 milligrams. And I'm like,
no,
oh, okay.
It was 150, but...
It was 150, they told me it's 100, and I'm like, okay, well then I'll just take half, right? It'll be fine. So we're sitting there. For context, background, we are, as a family of like 15 to 20 of us, are heading down to the main Vegas Strip to go and watch the Dallas Cowboy game. Starts at 8.
Sorry.
Right. I don't know why. That was the first part. That was the first mistake.
That was the first red flag for her.
Right. I should have said no, absolutely not at that point. It wasn't the drugs, it was the Dallas Cowboys. So, go Packs. Anyway, so we're heading down around like 6:37 to catch dinner before the game starts and get a good spot. I order food and they're like, here, take half. So I'm like, okay, I take half. Louis takes half. And we're like, just like waiting. And in my mind, I'm like, I just have stress. Like, I'm just too stressed. I don't feel anything. It's been an hour now. So I'm like, it's just now I'm just like, it was
normal. Only 45 minutes, but to her it was an hour.
It felt like an hour. And I'm like, food hasn't even come yet. Like, I don't feel anything. It's been a long time. Like, I just need to take the other half. That way I can take the edge off. And the kids are like, not a good idea. Like, you're going to be, just give it some time.
And I'm like,
I've taken Tylenol before. It takes 20 minutes max. Why would it take an hour? I'm like, doesn't make sense. Science tells me digestion doesn't take an hour. So I, against rules, was like, I'm going to just take the other half. So we both.
Against strong advice.
Right. Yeah. Multiple people told me, don't do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So break it off. We both take the other half. I'd say within 10 minutes.
No.
It felt like 10 minutes.
No. Literally, we're about 30 to 40 minutes. This is why I always tell the story, because she doesn't remember. About another 30 minutes or 40 minutes pass, and she's like, I still don't feel anything. And they're like, give it time. Like, let it get, the food's almost here.
In total, how long?
It literally was. It was probably about an hour and a half now.
Which is normal for Vegas time.
Right.
Like,
an hour and 15 minutes maybe, right?
Okay,
it always takes time.
So
which
we're
is
like,
why we got there
all right,
early.
and so she's like, one more half. And at that point, my little cousins are like, nah, like, don't.
Wait,
right?
this is the second half.
No, this is after the second half. She's saying, I still don't feel anything. Now we're at an hour and 15 minutes.
She's taken one.
I've taken one full and
she's
a
already
half.
taken a half and a half,
Holy
right?
Shit.
So now she's like, one more half. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever, right? Boom, break it off. She takes half, I take half. So now we're at not 150, we're at 225. Okay? 225 milligrams. So we're sitting there, and it wasn't 10 minutes. Because after 3 halves now, it wasn't 10 minutes. I'm looking there, maybe 5 minutes. The food has already gotten there. I'm watching the game. I look over.
So my experience from this point, I see the game start, and I feel like how I always feel, like, this is boring. They probably already had 2 interceptions at this point.
It's the
Still the first quarter.
It was a backup quarterback.
Absolute trash. Why am I wasting my time here?
Yes! It was Danucci.
So they were rebranding or whatever. So I was like, all right, excuses. And they're all bummed, and I'm like, now I know how it feels to be a fan, right? So I'm just sitting here, and then almost immediately, it's like the lights turned off in Vegas. Like, it went from bright lights to everything went dark. And I'm looking around like, does everybody else see this? Because it felt like, literally like in the movies when it's like doom just hits.
Like she thought it was power outage.
Power outage, and there was no sound. And I'm looking at the screen, I'm looking at them, and I'm trying not to panic. I'm just looking at everybody. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that I'm tripping right now. So I'm not saying anything, but I just like cross my arms and I'm waiting.
Just waiting. What else is going to
happen? So then I start to almost instant, like simultaneously, when I see this happening, I'm like, I'm really sleepy. So I just kind of like lean forward and like slide. My food's gotten there. I don't even remember getting there. And I'm like,
the food's there.
Food. I slide it over, and then I like put my head straight into my ketchup. And I just remember like my forehead feeling wet, and I could not get up.
Like I said, in 5 minutes, I'm looking at the game. I turn over, and her face is in the food.
And I was like aware, but like not aware, because I could hear them laughing.
Right.
But I could not.
You're
I had
incapacitated.
Totally.
I
had no control over.
So I'm literally like,
my
guys, hey man, I'm gonna take her back to the room, right?
Wow.
So we're literally at New York. And we were staying at Excalibur, which was literally across the street, but you have to go over the
escalator.
The escalator and all that.
It's not an easy walk.
So I'm like, hey, let me just take her really quick. And they're all kind of laughing. We told you it was gonna hit, right? All right.
Pointing at you.
So I pick her up. We clean her face. All right, get her up. I start walking with her. We're walking. We don't even get about 10, 15 steps. And she's like, I need to sit down. So she sits down on the floor.
Which is a sin for me.
Right.
You will never catch me without my shoes in public.
Yeah.
Or touching like a public bench or sitting down on the floor. Like
especially in Vegas, right?
Especially not.
So she sits down on the floor. And I'm like, no. Get up. We got to go. Let me take you to the room. Then I look, and she's now laying down on the floor. Right? And I'm like, you can't do this.
Slowly made your way
If the police come, they're going to see you. You can't be like this. Let's go. So I'm trying. It's fine. I'm fine. And I'm like, no. So I pick her up, and we start walking. I'm literally walking a baby giraffe. She's in heels, in boots, like heel boots, right? And I'm literally, she can't walk. We get finally to the hotel. I walk her through the entire casino because we're all the way at the end.
Yeah.
So we get to our room. We get to the elevator, get her up, get her to the room. She changes. I lay her down, and I had already told the guys, "Hey, man, I'll be right back." So I go, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna lay you down. Let me put the covers on you. I'm gonna go back and finish watching the game. I'll be back later." She's like, "That's fine." So I'm getting ready to leave. I'm already at the door, and she goes, "Wait." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Give me a hug." And I'm like, "Fine." I go over there. Mind you, this is about 8:30. I go over there. I said, fine. So I go down to give her a hug, and I passed out.
This is like 8 o'clock because the last thing I remember looking at was my phone, and it was 8:02. We left the hotel at like 6:20. So I'm like, this went really fast. Like we were in and out of there. We got the ordered food, left.
So we passed out. Our flight the next morning is like at 7:30. All I know is I wake up. It's like 6:15.
No,
and I'm like,
fucking way.
Dude, we gotta go. So we literally pack really quick, get an Uber. We get to the airport. We catch our flight. I look at my phone and I have missed calls and messages. My cousins are like, "What the hell happened? You were gonna come back." We get on the plane. We're flying back. She's fine now. I'm literally still high.
He's sitting there like back erect off of the chair and sleep like just.
And I'm like going back and forth, and she's videoing me, you know. And I can see her because I look up and I see her with her phone, and I'm like, I don't care, like.
I'm like, you need to eat something, and everyone's just staring at him. And I know that, and leaving Vegas or anywhere, if you're too drunk, inebriated, they won't let you leave on the flight. Yeah. So I'm like, look alive, look alive. I'm trying to give him like a monster. I'm like, come on,
bro. We literally got here, got home, and crashed out. Like I was done, bro.
I
was done.
It was like the best like sleep I've ever gotten in my life. Like I'm somebody who always like most women do have multiple files open at one time. So like I'm always thinking of today, tomorrow, the next hour, all in one sitting.
Everything went away.
Right.
Everything went away for that time.
I had a plate of spaghetti noodles just going crazy in my brain. So it's just all these thoughts, and then
she had spaghetti noodles all over her face,
and ketchup, but then there was nothing. It was just like nothingness. There wasn't no gnomes running around. There wasn't any like zooming in of the TV screen. I didn't feel what everybody said you would feel, and I was like, this is why everybody does this all the time.
Clarity,
right? Like, clarity. It was peace.
Speaking of Vegas,
I could sleep on the
sidewalk. We had another family member that will remain nameless, but at another different cousin's trip, again, another like 20 something of us, right?
Yeah. We had dad's side and the mom's side.
Yeah. And takes an edible, and I think it was a brownie, right? Mm-hmm. Takes an edible and starts freaking out at dinner. We're at dinner, and
we just get there, and we're joining everybody at dinner, and she's crying. And
it's freaking out, right? So we're like, okay, hey, you know, we came to party, so y'all need to take her back to the hotel, and we're gonna continue the night. Throughout the night, we're getting calls and messages. Now the family back in San Antonio is reaching out to us like, what did y'all do? What's going on? Because we're getting calls from her.
Right.
And she's staying at the Stratosphere.
No. She's staying at the one at the volcano.
No.
Because she was seeing them.
No, she's staying at the Stratosphere because they have the jump coming down. The bungee, kind of like a bungee jump, like coming down. Mm-hmm. So she is freaking out because she's seeing people
bungee jump.
Well, they're bungee jumping, but they're literally. She says she's thinking they're falling off. They're jumping off the top of the building
to their death,
and she's screaming and freaking out, and they're like, "Dude, never again are we ever gonna give her."
From there, you also see what is the one that shoots the fire? The one that we stayed at. Mirage.
Yes.
And so she's like, "There's a fire. These people are dying," and we're like, "What?" And then it finally hits like. We're staying at that hotel, and it's like,
she was gone. So, some crazy edible ingest stories. I know that there's more people that have some, and I know that
they didn't want to share. They didn't want to come out.
But
we could have kept it secret.
Here's your start to this, guys.
Yes, share.
You know, and I brought up the word clarity. To finish off the end of my story, because I thought about it now, for the next month or so, somewhere around there, my thoughts, my brain, like it was like clear.
Yeah.
I had this. It wasn't it wasn't anything weird. You know the one that reminds me of. Remember Office Space? Okay, so you remember when he goes to the thing and he gets hypnotized and then the guy dies? So he stays hypnotized for like, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I mean, I felt like I was just showing up to work, just always
serene,
just floating. Like it was just
peaceful.
Like,
I love
you had the effect.
Here's the other weird thing, dude, and I swear this happened. When the guy, like the way our cubicles were set up, it was weird. So it was a long row of people, and then on the other side, it was another long row of people. Yeah. And for that next month, we would literally stand up at the same time.
You're in sync.
Yes. So we're working right, and it'd be in between calls or whatever, and then we'd get up, and then all of a sudden I'd see him stand up too, and we just look at each other, and he would be like,
"What?"
Like, thumbs up, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Was there something else in there that just brought us together? Now
again, imagine if you would have taken a big hit.
Right.
You should have done a Bill Clinton and not inhaled.
No, that was my problem, man. And now I'm probably forever linked with this dude, wherever he is.
I gave Crank one time, Cranky, a gummy.
Yeah.
And he was the same way, like, dude, you better never ever do this again. And I was like, bro, first of all, I didn't give it to you, and they offered it and you took it, right? Like it happened, and he was like, for real, like, bro, like, I don't know what, like, I just panicking. I'm like, calm down, like everything's fine.
And it's so funny
take a
because
drink.
that was the first time I had ever like even considered, and I was like, okay, why not? And then I promised I'd never do it again because I had no control, and I really wanted to enjoy our night, right? Wasn't able to do that. Completely lights out. You're going to bed. My body said no. Well, the edible said no. But we actually went back again. I forgot about this. We went back with a friend of ours.
Oh, yes.
And we were there to see the UFC fights, and we had amazing seats. We went to MGM,
yes.
And she was like, I have these little baby Jolly Ranchers. And I'm like, well, that looks much better than what I took the first time.
Yeah, because they were Rice Krispie treats, the one we took.
And these friends I trusted. These were my little cousins being Nesios. These were our friends that do this all the time. So I was like, why not? We took one, and it was that card. I don't know if you're a UFCer. Where the entire card, every single
there were literally 3
prelim,
fights.
Everybody broke their leg.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Right. And it was so gruesome that like I couldn't believe in that moment. I'm like, is it the edible or is it the cameraman doing his job?
It was literally
because they zoomed in on every break and like sat there and stared at it, which is what everybody always wants to see. Kind of like looking through like your fingers, like. But I just was in disbelief, like, and everybody was so like. Nonchalant, and I'm like, do y'all not see his leg is broken?
No, she's freaking out.
I was losing and I'm in the medical field, so I'm just there like, he shouldn't be standing on that. This is so bad. Like, why?
Does anybody see this?
I'm like,
does everybody see it?
And he's across the table like, you're so high, like, calm down. And I'm like, no,
my buddy's laughing. I'm like, just relax, everything's fine. This is what they do.
You're either gonna black out. You're either gonna black out or you're gonna be panicky. I just don't know if there's an in between.
There's not an in between.
If there is, I haven't found it.
If you're not used to it, there's not an in between.
We don't know what I don't know what I took. Y'all know what you took, but Jesus,
you never know what you're gonna get.
The point of the story is, kids,
say no.
Say no to fucking drugs, dude. All right,
guys,
oh my God, Louie is right. Next time I'm just gonna leave the recorder on, and we're just gonna record whatever the hell comes up because it's probably more funnier than the shit we got.
We get insights. We get insights to a lot of the stories.
Y'all just don't know. If we had a camera, which I don't. That's another thing.
We're gonna work on that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
You don't know? You don't think so?
Do you really want to see my face?
I mean,
on video.
Honestly, on some of the things that we've talked about when we're giving the story and we're doing the expressions.
Yeah,
I think people need to see that, because we do the air quotes a lot, right? Yeah. We do the air quotes, we do the expressions. We had Sabrina over here doing for context, doing the whole.
And that
move.
Was in between. That was in between.
So these are things that I think. Just little clips. I think we'll see if we can do that.
We'll see. I mean, because I believe we can still do a live stream.
Yeah.
But with the voices, we don't have to put the thing. True. We can still kind of do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I was talking to Louie this week, and one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about, and it's kind of serious, but I don't know why it bothers me so much. It just does. Are these fucking takeovers that all these guys with their muscle cars, and I'm like, okay. And if you're out there and you're listening,
they're rice burners.
I apologize, but chances are, if you own, I don't know if y'all know anybody that owns a Charger or a Hellcat or something like that, but I'm gonna pretty much come out and just call you an asshole. Because all these videos of all these takeovers that are going on, it's some dude in a fucking Charger spinning his wheels in the middle of a busy intersection with all these other idiots around them, videotaping them.
Yep.
And they're doing these donuts right. They don't know where they're going. So I've seen numerous videos where these idiots are running into each other, running into people.
Yeah. Not just cars or the medians. Like, they're literally hitting people.
Hitting people, like launching them like 10, 15 feet in the air. Like, how stupid can you be, bro?
Well, so remember, you remember back in the, I remember in the military days.
Yeah,
they used to have the racing, right? You would it
was a different section.
You would cruise down military, and then once you got past Roosevelt, getting into the city base, old city base.
But wait, not saying that I did. I know about you. I know I didn't do that. I didn't do it. But he's just explaining.
Yeah. Okay. So they used to have the racing over there, and there were certain areas of town that you had a stretch of road, and they would race,
which
right?
was military.
But lately, what I started to see, before I started to see the takeovers, what I started to see is all these car meetups.
Yes.
Right? Like in the different parking lots.
Yeah, Academy or wherever.
Yeah. Well, there's one. Literally, they were meeting up right here at Marbach and 410. There's an action pond. And they would sit in that parking lot, and it wasn't really, and honestly, it wasn't even the cars. They had trucks, souped up trucks, right? And everybody's parked around, and they're literally doing donuts and just going crazy. And there's a little taco truck that we like to go to, and it's right there next door. So we're there, and I'm like, dude, I can just literally envision this truck hitting somebody or going off over the curb, or something going wrong, right? And you would see it, and you hear about it, and you hear stories, but I'm literally seeing it right there firsthand. And there were meetups everywhere. There was one at the Incredible Pizza. There was another one at over there on Potranco and 151. There's a bunch of them, and that's what you see is all they're doing is doing donuts. I'm like, first of all, dude, how much money are you spending on damn tires, right? Because you're having to change them out,
exactly,
right? Your engine, things are going on, but it was there. That's what was going on, and we had like. Even the kids, man, like, hey, we want to go to this meetup. No. You know that literally the one time that we were asked and we said no, there was a shooting at that meetup, and guess what? A little girl, her age gets hit.
Yeah. Innocent bystander.
Right? Innocent bystander. Come on, man. Like, these are the reasons that, sometimes the younger generation is like, man, you don't want to let us have fun. You don't want to let us do anything. No, because we know what the hell goes on at these things, right?
Yep.
So it started off with those little meetups, and then turns into, well, we're going to take over the highway. And you literally have people blocking the highway. Nobody can get through anymore. And you have traffic building up, but then you have people doing donuts, doing things in the middle of the highway, just blocking traffic.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and there was a lot of them being done here in San Antonio.
Intersections.
There was a lot of them being done in Austin, in the different parts of Texas. And what it did is it forced Governor Abbott to sign some bills. And, I was telling Porky, and Porky's like, you mean Abbott actually did something?
Something credible?
Right? He did something beneficial to people? Like, yeah, he did. He ended up signing 2 bills. So in March, we started to see an influx of this a lot.
Yeah, it was bad.
Right? It was on the news. It was everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
In May, he signed 2 bills, which was House Bill 1442, which is related to street takeovers and illegal racing. Right? It's designed to provide additional tools for law enforcement and prosecutors to be able to take these guys. Because before, you could only take somebody's car away if they were involved in a misdemeanor or a felony charge, like if it was like a hit and run, a DWI. That's when you would impound cars. You couldn't do it any other time.
Right.
Well, this bill is to help with prosecuting and doing more for the takeovers, the illegal racing, because it's basically what they're doing is they're calling it now reckless driving. And these reckless driving now, you were giving them tickets. So now they're giving them more ammo, to the prosecutors to say, hey, we're going to do more. And then it's joined by House Bill 2899, which allows the immediate removal and impounding of vehicles involved in street racing. Wow. So now they're not only getting their cars taken away, but they're also being charged $2,000 on top of it. So, which is a good thing, right?
Yes.
Now, has it helped? Yeah, there's been some, a little bit, I guess, less that you're hearing about it.
I haven't seen as much.
But it's still happening.
Yeah.
It's still happening. And so it is becoming, it's an annoyance. Right?
And it was enough. That's been the trend. So I feel like this has been evolving since as long as I can remember. I remember being a kid. I actually lived on Military in some really bad apartments. Oh, wow. And so as a kid, I'd say like 5 or 6, I was out there without parental consent, just watching the cars. And back then, the trend was who could go fastest, right? Who had the coolest car.
Right.
And it was not always fastest, but also like just cruising by and everybody's showing off their piece of art. Either their old lawnmower, rinky-dink car, or their souped up, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I feel like in my late teen years, it really was about then car clubs. And I don't remember there being a thing when I was younger watching your guys' generation driving, but
we had all that too.
Yeah, well, it evolved to me, and in my generation, the cool thing was to go to these car club meets and just look at everyone's cars and socialize and meet. And it typically was, I will admit, either at like a park or a public place like a parking lot where we should not have been.
Right.
And kind of blocking off and like taking over the parking space of that area. Not so much doing donuts and burning out, but just like showing off your cars in a space that, hey, there's enough of us, they can't tell us no, right? And so now I feel like this younger generation has taken over, and like we mentioned in the beginning, that lack of consideration of how what's going to happen if you block traffic on a highway, a very like 410 for instance, or 1604, where all of those highways lead to our medical center. We need those. We need that traffic to be open.
Yeah, if something's happening and you can't get through.
They don't realize that they could be an accessory to someone passing away by default because they're not able to get access to that, part of the highway or to that medical center. It's just a lack of consideration, I feel like, what it's evolved to. And it just speaks to the culture and the environment of the current generation. The generation, and so it's unfortunate, but I'm glad
she brought that up.
I'm glad he is finally doing something, because for child support and deadbeat dads, he has not. Wake up, old man.
This is what we needed her on that episode.
I wish I was here.
Wake up, Hot Wheels.
I'm glad she brought that up, because it's not something that right away that we think about, right?
Did you call him Hot Wheels?
Yeah. I sure did.
That's why he's so mad. That's why if I can't do it, you can't do it.
Oh man, Porky's over here thinking something.
No offense to anybody who can't do it either.
Hey, I know I'm not the only one. That's how much I feel.
I'm glad she brought up the whole consideration about that, right? Because when we're talking about it, we were talking about it like it's just freaking annoying. It's just like dumb. These guys are just like stupid. It is. But you know what? It is true. They could be hindering, EMS or first responders to get to a situation that they need to be at, or getting them to a hospital that they need to get to. Like it could be that, right? Now I'll tell you. So out of these bills that he signed, HB 2899 went into effect immediately after he signed it, right? And then HB 1442 is going to go into effect September 1st. So the 1442 that's what's going to help prosecutors. They're going to give them more tools to be able to prosecute more and give out, I guess, more harsher punishments for these things. The other one is the one where it went into effect immediately. They're going to be able to impound the cars right away and fine them $2,000. And
consequence. We need that.
And exactly, that's what we're talking about. It's consequences to stupid actions, right?
That's what we were talking about earlier, not to veer off, but we were just talking about this in the middle of one of the segments. We were talking about concerts and how that has changed. And I, again, go back to generations and like the type of people that they are. We used to be able to go to a concert back in the day, and it was totally fine. You didn't have to worry about guns showing up. And then the gun started to be a problem. And now it's people throwing phones at freaking... Like, why? Who told you that was acceptable behavior at a concert? And the guy's excuse to... I think it was... You said Baby Rexha.
Yeah, Baby Rexha.
I just thought it'd be funny So you're just letting intrusive thoughts win now? Like, who raised you?
Yeah, because these YouTubers are doing things for
clout,
right?
for
these
TikTokers,
these IGs, like that's what they're doing.
Walmart and do stupid shit.
Because you're not considering the perspective of the other person who's receiving the phone to the face. Because I guarantee you, if you stopped and said, let me throw it back at you. Let me throw this phone right back at your face. I guarantee you, they'd be like, well,
Cardi B did that. And
she sure did.
I mean, we'll see what the consequences and repercussions come from.
We need a round of applause button because my God.
However,
hold on. Oh, that's a laughter button.
However, if you see the video, this chick throws water at Cardi B, and then Cardi B throws her mic, but hits the wrong girl. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be some consequences regarding that. However,
that's what we need to get back to. You act a fool, you're going to find out that you can't just do that without a consequence.
There's your applause. You're getting some applause right now.
It's about time.
I don't know. I'm glad he did something about it, right?
It's good that because you have. I mean, when there was a big epidemic years ago with street racing, when that first started, it was more and more. It was getting worse.
Oh yeah, it was getting bad. And actually, I mean, they were literally blocking the streets too.
Well, at the time, which was way back in the early 2000s, middle 2000s, my at that point ex-wife my brother-in-law basically, his friend got arrested and went to jail for killing somebody because he was drag racing.
Oh no!
So he was racing down the street. He T-boned this old guy in a car in a truck, and he killed him. So he's in jail right now. I don't know I don't recall like what his consequences were, but he's basically going to be in jail for the rest of his life.
See, and that was for like he actually did something. Yeah. And I feel like he's right in doing this because the people in between that didn't do it yet, but he could possibly do that.
It's gonna get worse.
Yeah, there's no accountability.
Well, and let me tell you what the other thing that they're doing. People are going into residential places.
Oh, this just happened.
And they're just doing donuts in a residential area,
like a roundabout.
So let me tell you, we have a family member as well, and they have cameras at their house, right? And they literally recorded this truck going and doing donuts in their little section right in front of their house and shooting off guns
in the air.
And it wasn't one gun; it's literally 3 people shooting guns out the window, just in the air, but still, blowing off guns. And their video catches not only the truck, but they have cameras there at their house too. And they were all hanging out outside,
the kids,
having some drinks, swimming at the pool.
So they did it while people were outside.
Yeah. No, but this is, I mean, it was about midnight, 1 o'clock, right? But still, like, they're doing this, and so some people are asleep, they're being woken up to this. Other people are outside, they're ducking and rolling because they don't know if the gunshots are coming at them. This is being an annoyance. Now, I read an article though that those people, and I think it was the same people because they were in the same similar truck that we saw in the video. Mm-hmm. They were arrested in another section of town, and they were doing the same thing. And they end up, an officer goes behind them, and then they went on a chase, and they ended up stopping, and the guys take off running. But they arrested all of them. Right. So they arrested one of them for reckless driving. So I'm pretty sure he got his vehicle impounded because of the law, right? Because of the new bill passed. He's gonna get fined, and then they were all charged with discharging a weapon, from their vehicle. And so it's not only being the takeovers, but now you have these dumb idiots doing it in a residential area. Like, why? I mean, we've even heard it in our parking lots here. Like, it's ridiculous for people to just be spitting out and just because they want to have fun.
Right. And what. I don't know what to say. I mean, I do know what to say, but I guess I don't, if I'm making a point here or not. But it's like, okay, I work hard to get what I need in my life, obviously, right? If I need a vehicle, I need to get a vehicle. I'm not going to get my vehicle with a big-ass engine and try and, for one, race somebody, or another, try and do a fucking donut where I could ruin my tires, I can ruin, and then worst comes to worst, fucking hit somebody and kill them. Now, my whole thing was like, well, fuck, I'm not going to pay that much money for my car just to fuck it up. The other thing is, what is going to happen when they actually do kill somebody?
Right.
They're going to get run over because these people are idiots.
Yep.
Videotaping them and right in the middle of the street. Where is it? Like, why does that have to be cool?
Yeah.
Where is it? It's like fuck. I can't go. Let me just go to the amusement park and have some fun. No, I got to go spin my car around in circles and hit somebody.
And I think that goes back to what we were talking about off air, right? Where we were saying these people that are throwing the phones at the concerts, these people that are doing the donuts in the residential area, the people doing the takeovers, it's all the inconsideration. And then not only that, they're doing these things because they think it's fun, they think it's cool. You're gonna throw a phone at an artist, because I think it's funny and I'm gonna get a laugh out of it. Really, I'm gonna go do these donuts in the middle of because the people that I'm with that are in my vehicle, they think it's cool and it's funny, and they're probably recording it as well. Of course. This is all their things to be able to get some notoriety, some popularity. Clout. But guess what? Yeah, exactly, the clout. But you're literally putting people's lives in danger.
That's my biggest thing, dude. I mean that you could fuck up your life.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life, just because you wanted to, show off to people and you wanted to get I sent I got angry about this earlier in the week, and I told Louie about it. I said, let's go over it. Let's talk about it. And then I sent him a video of some fucking idiot.
Some idiot.
Is fucking get killed. And then not even that. Like other cars that are running into each other.
Exactly.
Like, how stupid are you, dude? Like, for you, okay, I can hit somebody or I can run into another car. Right. Or my tire can go flying out and fucking hit somebody in the head. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you have to do? But you know what, man? These are the ones that we're gonna be seeing on TikTok and on the news. On the next episode of F around and find out, right? That's what we're gonna That's what we're gonna be seeing. And I'm sorry, but whatever consequence you get, whatever punishment you get, you had it coming. Yeah. I mean, you can't just think I can do whatever I want and there's not gonna be a consequence from it.
What is I don't know, maybe there's some other stuff going on, but what could it be that they find that entertaining instead of, hey, let's get a group of friends and go bowling, we were just talking about this yesterday at your sister's. I was just saying how this generation is very desensitized to a lot of things because they've had access to a lot of things. It doesn't matter how childproof you make these kids' devices, they find a way to have access to animals dying, people getting shot, which happens every day now, school shootings,
and recorded a lot,
human trafficking, and now it's just kind of because these things happen all the time, and it's not just hearing about it, it's seeing it in real life. This happened, and you see just the other day, we saw a shooting at the mall. And the person's laid out on the floor, just bleeding out. And I'm like, I'm as an adult, oh my gosh, in the medical field, I've seen people bleeding before, but to see that just gruesomeness and rawness, I'm like, imagine if my kids had access to this, how they'd feel afterwards. So I feel like now to feel something, they have to do extreme because the minor things aren't big anymore. Back when I was a kid, the big thing was, sneaking out. I'm sure during y'all's time, I remember my mom telling me I used to have to hide smoking cigarettes from my mom. And I'm like, that was a thing. People do that all the time now. Yeah. My generation was sneaking out and hanging with friends. Not even doing anything bad. Just, you have a curfew and you're out past that curfew and ooh, I'm out past my curfew. And then I feel as it progressed, it was now drugs are a thing and people are trying drugs and stuff. And then it was parties. There's house parties and everyone's sneaking out, and then parties get raided, everyone scatters.
Right.
And then this may have been for you guys as well, because I remember my brother also partaking in this, and he's about y'all's age. But I feel
what are you trying to say?
Right. He old as hell. But
God damn it.
Hey, I still got my game though.
No, but
no past July is coming to an end.
We got 2 more days, baby. 2 more days.
I mean, we're gonna have to conclude right here so I can leave. They're gonna.
Here's the thing. I don't think they're ever gonna. You're right. I think they're desensitized, right? And that they're not gonna feel anything until it actually happens to them.
Exactly.
Until they're in the middle of the situation where either they hurt somebody or they're hurt, is when they're gonna realize, man, this was stupid.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, and honestly, it's sad to say that we can have conversations until we're blue in the face, but they see it and they're like, or they hear us and they're like,
whatever.
Yeah, but when it happens, oh my goodness, it's the end of the world, and it is because to some people, it's gonna be the end of the world. Like you were mentioning, your ex-brother-in-law, it's literally the end of his life because now he's gonna be stuck in jail for a stupid mistake. Yep. And these are the things that when people are doing the things that they're doing right now, they're going to suffer some major consequences, and they're not thinking of the consequences in the middle of their actions because it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't even think knowing that it happened to somebody close to them is going to affect them.
No.
Right.
Because it happens, like you mentioned, it happens all the time now. We see it on TikTok all the time. Yeah. We see it on the news. You know how many times that they never showed things on the news before? They just told you about it. But now with video everywhere, you see all these things, and it doesn't affect anybody's emotions.
Unless there's those Spanish stations, they like showing a lot.
They sure do.
They show
and
everything.
We love it.
People hanging from the
damn
bridges.
Right. It does go to say though, and actually, this has been a long time saying, but I most recently heard it in a song that I really like, a country song, of course.
Oh God! I know. Where's the mute button?
Right. And it really does go to say that it doesn't matter what generation, the youth is spent well on the young, because if you were to be doing this in your older, teens or in your adulthood, you'd be thinking of the repercussions. You'd be thinking of the consequences. And you're a kid and you're a teenager, you're young and dumb, and that's your opportunity and that's your excuse to do whatever and not think about the whatever. And I mean, honestly, we've all been there. It's just the thought process on some of these kids. I'm like, well, this is our future.
Because to go off of that, well, I've said it. I don't know if I've said it on here before, but it's always with me. It's always with me. When I was younger, if I ever had the slightest thought, even the slightest thought, my parents' voice would come into my head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they were like on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh man, maybe I should sneak out and go, like I'd be like, boop. And I would just hear that. But but like, where's the change? It's like you said, there's something about it that tells them, oh, well, I don't care. Like, I'll just go and do it. Like, like where was it? Where did that change happen? And it's like, how? Because it's getting
really bad.
Really bad. These kids don't care if, you just tell them, well, you need to work hard, go get a job. Well, I don't need to get a job. What am I getting a job for? I'll just sell drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, or I'll just put all this content on TikTok or on Instagram, and I'll just get a bunch of followers and make money that way.
Yeah, you said that. You said that last time too.
Yeah. I mean, that's their mentality right now.
Yeah. I'd like to say it comes down to the parents, right, and upbringing. Like if you're old school, you have that fear factor. But it's just unfortunate because we see a lot of friends of ours who they're great parents and they try to do everything they can, and it's just the influence is so heavy right now. Yes. And it used to be just your parents and what you saw on TV, which back
or your
then,
teacher, your coaches, and
Yeah.
And if you didn't have the luxury of being in sports, and you were lucky enough to get a mentor within school, right? But these days, they just have so much at their fingertips and access to so many things, regardless of us giving them devices or not. Yeah. They're going to get access to it one way or another, and they're going to come into contact with these people who are very influential, and what they're doing is cool, and while they're doing it, they're fine. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're gonna have friends that have devices, and they're gonna be able to see it. I still am on the side where I say maybe we still need to limit what we give them and the access that we give them. But you're right. They're still going to have access somehow. They're going to see it from a friend. They're going to see it somewhere else. They're going to have access somehow on a computer, something. And they're going to be influenced. That's exactly what's going on. And we mentioned it on episode 1. The influencers right now are the ones raising the kids. And it's sad to say.
And the parents. Because the parents now, the young 20-year-olds that are now raising these kids that are babies
I'd
say anywhere between 1 and 5. We're also the kids that were born in 2000. They're 23, between 20 and 23 now.
Yeah.
And they were social media kids. And they're influenced by social media. And then they're passing that mentality down to their kids. And it's just like now an ongoing like generational thing now in the thought process. And it's unfortunate because now the roles have flipped. I feel like my generation is probably the last where we believe in the fear factor of parenting.
Yes.
Like these kids need to get whooped, and they need to know that if they do something dumb, they're gonna hear about it. They're gonna find out. They're gonna find out that you can't do things like that and not have consequences. And now the next generation is like, it's really not that bad. Calm down. They're the chill. They're the chill generation.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna start seeing what's gonna be the product of that mentality. And I can imagine it's not gonna be good because no discipline or lack thereof or very little is never a good thing.
I mean, it's so. No God damn it, Louie.
Period.
But yeah, exactly. Period. Period. But it's harder. It's definitely harder. I mean, you exactly like you said, you're part of the generation that still knew that there were consequences, and now there's no consequence. Like, to them, they have no consequences.
Oh,
like,
no,
it doesn't matter.
And even the consequences, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
And you try. I guess it's I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say, more or less, is like, people will get upset, like, if you try and tell, well, maybe they shouldn't be doing that. Well, is that your kid?
Yeah.
It's my kid.
Yeah. Let me raise my kid the way I'm going to do it.
I was like, okay, but do you see what he's doing? Like, I mean, it's like...
which goes back to the sensitivity of everything, where you can't say something. Remember, you remember the old saying, it takes a village, right? It takes a village to raise a kid. And now it's like, don't tell me how to raise my kid.
Oh, God. Nobody likes it.
You know what I mean? Because, again, it's the whole me thing. So don't tell me how to do it. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to raise them the way I do. And I have my views and my perspectives. And let me deal with my kids the way I deal with it. That's fine. But you remember, back in the day, our friends' parents could whoop our butt. Because, if you did something wrong, you were going to get the consequence. It wasn't just from your parents. It was from your friends' parents. It was from whoever you were hanging around with. It didn't even have to be your friend's parents. It could have been the lady down the street. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? And she would give you a scolding. And now it's like, even the parents nowadays are like, don't be talking to my kid that way.
Yeah.
Do you see what the hell your kid's doing? Come on, man. Like, it really is the kids knowing that there's not going to be that bad of a consequence for the crap that they're getting themselves into.
Yeah. My son, he's 7. He just turned 7. He knows that if something happens, he's not going to get it from me. Not only me, he's going to get it from my mom. He's going to get it from my sister, his tias. He's going to get it from everybody because that's just how it was back then. Yep. Like, you could yell at somebody else's kid for common sense shit, well, maybe
which is
you should be doing that,
now,
So, somewhere in there's, I don't know.
I see it a lot. What I'm watching, and I try to take myself out of my own place and put it into, like, generation before me. When I try to, like, make excuses for my own mom and, like, the way she chose to parent, and kind of, like, relate to her, I'm like, I can see why she did some of the things that she did and why her generation did as well. But it was just that I feel like they were trying to break the chains back then of the older generation, pretty much like not parenting them, but telling them, making the decision for them. Back then it was, this is the way our family's always done it. This is the way you have to do it. And there's no way to deviate from that. And that's just the way it is. And so I feel like y'all's generation was a generation trying to break that stigma of, I don't have to do this because my dad's grandpa's grandpa did this. I'm making the choice now and I'm putting the power in myself, which was liberating. But now we're seeing the consequences of that continuing to roll out, and maybe we're starting to realize there was a point to that. there was some good in that, getting whooped with a wooden paddle in kinder for dropping your pencil or something.
I got whooped at school for not dressing out, bro.
Yeah,
I got whooped for not shaving.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, and now you see kids with mop haircuts or no haircut and their pajamas, and I'm like, what the heck?
No chemicals.
What happened to the dress for success? Like what?
Shit, in school they don't even have no pants July all year. So damn.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we know that No Pants July is going to be coming to an end soon, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anything else? Anything closing we got?
Like, follow, and share.
I like the mom's perspective.
Yes.
Coming from that. That's a very good way to end this episode. So,
comment.
Sabrina, thank you.
Thank you.
The Louie. The Sabrina.
I'll share that story next time.
The investigator.
One and only.
Private eye.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Later.